Yes.
Good morning, welcome again. This is our second episode of Adrian's Podcast Autism. Today, our topic is talking about special interests. So, today I invite Darragh Bryne. He's the director training of Gheel, and he's going to ask me about special interests, and we're going to be talking about special interests. So, welcome, Darragh.
Thank you, Adrian. I'm really excited to be here. It's an absolute privilege to be asked to be part of your podcast. I listened to your last episode and I was extremely impressed. So it's an amazing thing to be asked to take part. So I really want to thank you for that, and thank you for raising awareness of autism. I think you're going to
It's
help a
very
lot of people.
very important, especially when you need to change the society so autistic people can live betterly. So, tell me about some of your background, please.
Okay. Well, I've been working in Gheel for many years, on and off for about 20 years. So I really feel very privileged to get to do the job that I do and get to work with some incredible people and meet people like you, Adrian,
Yeah.
and really inspiring
Yeah.
people. I'm very passionate about autism and about enhancing the quality of life for the people that we support and for everyone with autism in Ireland. That's certainly what Gheel aims to do. I guess one of our other primary roles would be trying to create opportunities for
Yeah.
people so that they can live the life that they want to live and achieve all the things
Yeah.
that they want to achieve as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good that you train staff or any carer to manage other people with autism. So today our topic is talking about special interests. So I know that every autistic people have their interests, but the way they interest in it is very special and is very important for them, which is a comfort for them. It's a comfort entertainment, much important to make their world happy. Otherwise, they will feel they lost it. They lost who they are. So it's very important for the special interests. So I know that the way they like it. Sometimes people may say it's kind of like an obsession, but in a good way, which doesn't need to be changed as long as it doesn't hurt anyone.
Absolutely, Adrian.
So so usually special interest could be anything.
Can you? I've heard the term before, an autistic world. I've read it. I've heard people on podcasts speaking about it before. Do you agree with the term autistic world, and what's your understanding of that term?
Oh yeah, I really agree with the term. So basically autistic people have their own world. So the way they live in their own world, they because like with normal people, they like to live in a society. So they need to do everything that the society expect. For example, people tend to do things because of their age, gender, but with people with autism, they prefer to be in their own world. And basically, autistic people like to spend time in their special interests and spend the way they want. And autistic world is very important. It's just like a fantasy or fairy tale world to them. And it's very important for them all the time. And it's one of their home, and it's one of their secure place, and and it's a very important for them, just like a gold or treasure. And and autistic people and autistic world. But when people think about autistic world, people sometimes do think that is something that they or put it this way, autistic world, it could be anywhere the autistic people would like. Like, as you heard the quote, if you see one autistic person, you only see one autistic person because all autistic people are different. So what I know is that some autistic people say they have a special interest in playground. Then that playground will be their world. So it will be like they're setting their empire there. So like me, so
Can you share with us maybe some of your special interest? I think people would really like to know about them.
yeah, so my special interest is Disney characters, fairy tale, and costume characters. So I really love Disney characters so much. The re- and the reason I love Disney characters so much is because I like the touch of the characters. Like when I'm in Disneyland, meeting and greeting the Disney characters, like taking a picture of them, hugging them, shaking their hands. I like the touch of the characters. I find the characters so cute and I like to touch it. It's just like when people love puppies. Like when you see a cute puppy, you do want to pet the puppies, things like that. The same with me with the Disney characters.
Okay.
So like I touch the Disney toys, Disney dolls, and every once or twice a year I go to Disneyland and I go up to the characters and shake hands with them, hugging them, touching them, and get an autograph with them. And Disneyland characters is the best thing in my life, and that's nearly like a throne to my world. So it's nearly just like something I would find in heaven. So so Disneyland characters is one of my best things ever in my world, and and I will love it for forever and ever. And it's
Does
just
you
like
you clearly
something.
get a lot of enjoyment from this special interest, but does it have any other benefits for you?
Yeah. So what happened is this: the way I spend it. Usually, I like to play with it, like playing with the toys. Like even though in my youth age, I still play with them, but that's because of my autistic. That's my difference. I like playing with the Disney character toys. Sometimes I like to make different story with them, imaginary stories, and I do write stories of them, draw pictures of them. Sometimes I do watch films of them, listen to the music of it, and part of my autism, I really attach to them. So that means every time when I go out in the public, I still attach to them the way children does, and it's really important for me. Disney characters will be important for me forever, and even when I'm in heaven. So, so
Would you say that they make you feel more comfortable, less stressed?
yeah, less stress, more comfortable, and and is like one of my disability equipment. Like when someone cannot walk, they need the wheelchair to support them. So what this is what the Disney characters are like. I hold them. It's kind of like a support for me.
Okay. You mentioned that you travel to Disneyland maybe once or twice a year. It must be very difficult this year with COVID
Oh
restrictions.
yeah, very difficult because like I know that during the summer the Disneyland had reopened, but because of the COVID, I know the Disneyland had reopened, but because of the social distancing, people cannot touch the characters. They can only take picture of them from distance. So I wouldn't go there because that's what I'm there for. I'm there to touch the characters, but can't do it during the COVID. So during the so I mean, hopefully it's just this year and next year when there is vaccine coming out and everything's going back to the old normal. That's when I will go back to Disneyland and hug the characters again because that's what most people say. Vaccine is the only way to end the pandemic, and also, but for me during the COVID-19, I just try to play with my Disney toys just to focus on now at the moment and not to worry too far yet. And I play with my Disney characters. And another thing I did is I'm part of Facebook and Instagram. And in the Facebook and Instagram, I actually had an online friend who's from Japan. She is like 8 years older than me, and she also loves Disney the way I do. She loves the Disney characters. She takes pictures with nearly all the characters in Disneyland and shaking hands with them. And she go there like every once 3 months. And 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 I get to talk to her about Disney characters and Japanese cultures. I know in Japan they have a strong culture in collecting toys. So actually some of the Japanese culture, especially the manga or the anime, Disney fairy tales, or anything to do with the toys, they are part of my special interest as well.
I was going to ask you about that, Adrian. I mean, how do you feel about society's attitude towards special interest, and is there differences in different cultures?
Oh yeah, very different in different cultures. Because like every cultures have different social norm or what is appropriate for age, gender. Different country have different these kind of concepts. I know that in Ireland, if you have your figurines as an adult in the street, or you were carrying a doll or cuddly toys the way children does, people may look a bit suspicious to you, or people may laugh at you looking at you, or people may find it a bit weird, and maybe some people may find it inappropriate or uncomfortable with it. But like in Japan, because actually collecting figurines and toys, that's part of the Japanese cultures. I mean, even men do that as well, and and some do play with them the way children does. And I've seen men and women in Japan carrying the cuddly toys into the streets, and that's part of their cultures. So, because as I mentioned in my first episode, at children's culture here is like adult culture in Japan. So Japanese adult are still like children. So say if an autistic person did that in Japan, that would be acceptable. And because I know that in Japan, the cultures are actually, if you're talking about the Japanese culture that accept differences, they accept really much, and that is best for the autistic people to live in, so they can be who they are. And then if they have any strange behavior or anything like playing with the figurines, collecting figurines, people in the public don't really care. They just mind their own business. And also because of many social withdrawal in Japan, that's where people can be more different. And I know like there will be some of the Japanese old men who are very obsessed with Hello Kitty, and they nearly have all Hello Kitty in their house. They carry it into the streets and help their Hello Kitty dolls to dress in different dress while going to different occasion. They sometimes wear the bow on their head. I've seen that before in the social media. So I know Japan is one of the best country and an autistic culture for an autistic person because of their fixed routine. People like to do things repetitive. Like I know some people when they go to Disneyland, they need to take the same pictures and hug the same characters every time. So especially when that apply to an autistic person, that would be make it better. And I know they have the different way to treat mental health or different mental disorder in an accepting way. Although it can be socially withdrawn, but that can be accepting. But I know in Ireland, people usually, if you do that in the public, people may look a bit suspicious. Like me when I was a child, going to a therapist. I remember when I was 12 and then I was in my teenager year. I remember my therapist even made me not to bring figurines in the pocket, which is not right. It's because, in case if other people saw it, other people may look a bit suspicious. They might laugh at me, but I feel like that wasn't very right what she did. Because, like, first of all, society should be the one who needs to change to accept autistic person. But unfortunately, because in different society, they have different norm, different age appropriateness. Like I know nowadays social norm in Asia are not as much as social norm in the Western country. In Western country, people have many social norms, like for example, age appropriate. Like still have the gender stereotype where girls can play with dolls while boys must play sports, and they still have the stereotype like adults go to work while children play. So these kind of social norms. So it's hard to change society, but it would be good if we change the Irish society to accept someone different.
How should we do that, Adrian? What's the
Um,
best way?
like if we doing the podcast, raising more awareness, something like that. So to continue on the topic, I know, I know that it would be good if, well, when you're talking about, because I know autistic people, their special interests sometimes could be similar to different cultures. Like I know, like for me, based on my special interests and my world, I think if I was living in Japan, which is not the reality now, that would be that would be good. But now I'm in Ireland. But I know that some autistic people, they have they have different special interests, and maybe some when they have that special interest, they, some of them they can fit into the Irish society, while some of their special interests they can't, because of the different cultural perspective. And I know, and I know that every special interest, sometimes the culture do get a bit of influence. For example, the way I love Disney is because of the touching, the cute characters. But for other autistic people, they like it because they like to watch the film of it. So like even though they like Disney, but I know other Irish teenagers they might prefer just to watch it rather than go and touch it. So like every autistic special interests are very different. I know some love trains, some love a specific cartoon characters, dolls, or toys. I know some autistic people, like in Ireland, many do love trains, cars, historical documents, Legos, Irish cultures, and I do know quite a few autistic people who also like sports in Ireland. But this is not something I like, but I know every autistic world are different, and sometimes the way they spend their special interests. In some cultures, it can be accepted. So if that culture accepted, then that country will suit for that person with that special interest. If that person's special interest is things that other culture don't accept, then maybe that country may not be a friendly culture for them. So I know every autistic people have different special interests. Like I give you an example. I know in Japan, they even very liberal that they allow men to marry their toy doll. For those who really love their Hello Kitty doll, Barbie doll, I've seen some Japanese men even set a real wedding to get married with their dolls or their Hello Kitty and pretend that's their wife. But like in Ireland, you cannot do that because that wouldn't be accepted in Ireland. So I know every culture see autistic world in a different way. So it really depends on the autistic individual, what's the world are like, and then if their world are like that, then maybe there'll be some country that may suit them and some country that may not suit them. So every cultures have different norms and different way to feel them. But in my opinion, I think the society should be the one who needs to change for us first. Like instead of we change for them, we they need to change for us. like with the like with my therapist when I was a child, I think it wasn't fair for me the way she'd tell me not to bring figurines into the public because of other people may laugh. Because like here's the thing, first of all, this is myself. If and because and I am autistic. If other people were laughing of it, it should be their problem, not my problem. And second, because I think if I because the Disney characters is much important for me and it's one of the disability support. It's just like with someone on the wheelchair. When they have a broken leg, they cannot walk, they need the wheelchair to be with them. So Disney characters toys is my special object. It's like an autistic wheelchair for me. So I need it all the time. So because like for example, if I know that if I was in Ireland other people may find it suspicious, but let why would I have to care for them? Why would I have to let them to control me? I should be just be myself, and if they judge, it's their problem because they should be the one who need to accept an autistic difference. So it wouldn't be right for her to do that for me. Thinking back then.
Absolutely, Adrian. And it's really interesting to hear you speaking about Japanese culture and how it's different to Irish culture and how we should learn to accept differences. But I'm conscious that there's going to be a lot of maybe parents and professionals and teachers listening to this podcast. And I'm interested to know what advice would you give to them when it comes to the whole area of special interest?
Oh yeah. Well, it's very important they encourage it, accept it. Doesn't matter it's very strange or very weird, or it is just one interest, or it is something that limited their social skills. Because basically, the society should be the one who needs to change for us, not we change for the society. So, so basically, because like special interests are very important in an autistic person, and if you just take away their special interests, it is just like you are forcing a Muslim not to wrap their head and forcing them to eat pork. That's what it's like when you're trying to. So that is just like when you're forcing an autistic people to get out of their special world or special interest, and it wouldn't be fair for them, and that's not right. And this can cause them a lot of behavioral issues. Like for example, it can worsen their anxiety, depression. I know many autistic people are having mental health problem in different countries. It's because of how they were unfairly treated, like the way their special interests got taken away, and they find it really unfair. So that's why it caused a lot of behavior problem. For example, they can be much defensive, and then whenever they see other people have their special interest, they might even grab the things off from other people even though not belong to them, and that can be a problem. So if you discourage it, you could actually cause a lot of behavior problem. Like if an autistic person have this, so first of all they do need to accept it and even pursue it with them, because pursuing special interest is one of the good way to calm the anxiety. Especially like me, I have OCD and an anxiety disorder. Special interest is one of the good way to help me. So it will reduce the anxiety and help me to relax. But I know that in the society people does not accept it, but I just don't let the society to control me. I would just let the society I would just let well, this is a society problem. I'm just going to be in my own world. However, whatever the society judge, I'm not doing anything that physically hurt anyone. So I am fine. The society is the one who needs to change. And that's the same way for other for parent of autistic children who needs to accept their autistic children. Like for example, say if they're boy in the 16 and they like playing with Barbie dolls or Hello Kitty. The right way is to accept them to love Hello Kitty and Barbie dolls. Just like the way how some Japanese man does. You accept the way they are. If they want to bring it into the public, just let it be. Because like they out in the public, it just means they're autistic. They need that. And it's part of the way to comfort their world. and and for an autistic person, and pursue it with a special interest is really important. Like, let me give you my example. If I love Disney characters, the best way to do is to buy me more Disney toys so I can play with it, and maybe even try to, and even we could, if I make friends with other people who have special interest in Disney characters, like the girl I know from my Disney fan group, the girl from Japan, or like sometime, like I do know other children who who are younger than me, and some do have autism and they love Disney. Then sometimes I go around my neighborhood and share Disney interests with them, and that's okay and that's good. At least we are socializing together. We are we because like even though we are different age, I mean, age should be just a number. I mean, if we get on well with each other and their parents are fine, then accept it. Then so we play toys together, we share it together, and that's really good though. It's one of the good coping way. It's one of the good way to help an autistic person. And sometimes if they were learning, it's always best to use their special interest in learning. For example, if a primary school kid is learning to count and they have a special interest in, say, they have a special interest in dinosaur, the best way is to use dinosaur to count for them because they will learn it easier. If they don't have special interest, it will make it harder for them because they will always rely on a special interest, so just accept it the way it is. So, and if you take it away, you're just going to cause a lot of problem on them. So it's important that parents and other carers accept their children to be in the autistic world, and also try to do something based on their special interests. For example, those who like playground. The right way to do is to bring them to go to a playground and then let them enjoy the slide, the swing, and in the same time just make sure teach them how to share with other children, and maybe, and even though I know that nowadays there is an autism acceptance, so I know that there are some autistic people, especially the severe one. Some can be in their 20s and they still play in the playground, but I think that should be fine as long as they know how to share with other children. But I'm sure they do share with other children as well, and because like in world, because like some children does learn how to share with others as well, and society people needs to learn how to share with other people as well. And I know, like, for me, I love Disney characters, and touching the Disneyland characters is one of my bestest thing in my world. So the right way is to do is to go to Disneyland every once or twice a year so I can touch the Disney characters, hugging them, taking an autograph, something like that. And sometimes I go to the Disney store and collect Disney toys and dolls. I play with it or I write story of it. And sometimes when I go, I bring Disney figurines, and it's one of the best way to pursue it my special interest, and that's the way you should help an autistic person. For example, if they like train and they want to travel on the train all the time, then you should let them travel on the train all the time. Or say for example, if an autistic person who likes animals, then you use animals, or sometimes you can use animals in terms of learning. And say for those who go to school, maybe the school allow them to have their Disney figurines in their pockets, or like use Disney as a way to learn, or like in some school they should or like in some and sometime when an autistic person spend time in their special world, they might have a bit of strange behavior or strange ritualized behavior to to do it first before engaging. Like, I know some autistic people who like train, they might have to walk around the train station 3 times, and then if they bump into other, they might have to do it again. Then they go on the train, and that's part of their ritualized behavior. Like me, I do touch the Disney characters all the time, and I do rub it on my face sometimes, and that could be my routine sometimes. Like, especially I have OCD, I might do that sometimes in the toilet. And and I know different autistic people, the way they so it really depends on the world, and special interest is like a fantasy world to them.
Okay.
So it's really important for the carer, parent, or any professional adult to accept it. But unfortunately, that's the problem in Ireland. Because when you are young, especially you're still in school, and you go to service, like when you go to the children's service, something like Lucina, they need to put a lot of input, and they might try to gain some social skills on you so you can learn to cope, to learn this, to live in the society. So unfortunately, there are lots of elimination that not allow them to spend a lot of time on it or talk about all the time, because it will be limiting them from other social activity. But I think it can make the autistic person stress, and that's the problem in the Irish society.
Okay. Adrian, it's really interesting to hear you talking about how, you know, for example, your special interests can increase your social contacts. It can help you to develop a relationship maybe with
Yeah,
a staff member, with a teacher, with a parent, with a new friend. It
yeah.
can help you to reduce your stress levels. I can imagine that if you or somebody else was getting quite worked up and quite stressed or anxious about something, if you were to start talking about their special interest, it might calm them down. It can help you to work on particular goals with that individual if you focus on their special interest,
Oh,
because it's always better to focus on people's strengths when you're supporting with them and helping them to achieve goals. And ultimately, it will make you happier. And it will build your confidence more if we talk more about and accept people's special interests and involve them more in it. But can I just ask you, Adrian, do you think that um, there is a time when if you're spending all of your day and all of your time engaging in your special interest, that it has the potential to create problems?
yeah. Um. Well. Well. Here's the thing. I always say: don't mind. Never normalize an autistic person. I know that with normal people, this is what their daily routine are like. With the normal people, they get up in the morning, brush their teeth, have their breakfast. If adult go to work, if young person, they might either go to secondary school, college, children either crash or primary school, and then they come home and do a bit of homework if that was the children or young people, and if that was an adult, they will come home and they will go to work, and then they might come home, and sometimes they might join some social club. Like adult, like I know Irish adult love pub so much. They might go into the pub, socialize with friends, and I know some of them, they might watch different match, go to different places. Like I know some people when they go on holiday, they don't just go on one places. They go to different places, different holiday, like going to France, Spain, Italy, and they go there once and they don't go there again. But I think this kind of lifestyle you apply on the an autistic person, it wouldn't be fair on them, and you will make it hard or maybe even worse than the behavioral problem. So, well, here's the thing I would always tell people about: always focus on your child's needs, not other normal people. Don't make your child look as normal as other like their peers. That would be just normalizing them. It would be just like forcing a Muslim to eat pork and to take off the wrapping head. Wouldn't be fair on the Muslim. The same with the autistic person. And what I would say is that, well, here's the thing. They always make sure that they need to have their basic skills. Like, they make sure they have to eat, and they may have to make sure that they can wash themselves. Or if they are well capable and they have a job, they may need to come out to get a job to get some money to survive. And because like we all need money to survive, that's where how we get our special interest. But I'm raising my voice out. If I have to tell the government, it would be good that if the government have more support, like supporting in jobs, or those who cannot get a job get a disability allowance, which is what they're doing now, which is good. And I think that's what the day center or even the residential home are doing now. And and well, here's the thing: make sure they get the basic things they need, like eating, drinking, or like say if they need to go to school or going to work. Here's the thing I advise: say if they watching the Disney film all the time and they're not going to school or work, the best thing to do is why don't they go to work or go to school and bring their either iPad, or like me, I bring my Disney figurines with me, coming to work with me, and that's like having a Mickey Mouse coming to work with me to my office. That's the best, that's the right way to do. Or like in school, I was even allowed to bring my Disney figurines, or say in the crowd I was too stressed. It's good that they gave me the special permission. I can listen to it on my phone, and that's the best. And I really thank you for the teacher for that kind of special permission, and that's the right way to do it. Because unfortunately, not many schools do that because of the social norm of the school and the appropriate rules or the behavioral code of the school. Especially they worry about the mobile phone policy, where they worried about some student may doing some inappropriate things with their mobile phone. But I know listening to music, that is not appropriate. That is just someone different. So it's just that make sure they get their basic skills, and if they learn something new, like learning how to count, things like that, maybe use their special interest to help, like using Disney figurines to help them to count, or like those who like going to, or like if they go out for a shop, maybe if you do a role play with counting money, help them say, all right, if you want to buy this Disney figurines, you need money to count like that. Put it into structure, something like that. Or I will say, if they learning how to cook, maybe it would be good if you find some Disney recipe for them to learn to cook. So so they can cook some food or baking cakes with Disney design on it. Or it would be good if you make the environment look like their special interest. Like when I saw the document of a Japanese woman who loved Barbie. She even make herself look like a Barbie doll. She make her life completely a Barbie. She collect nearly all the Barbie dolls. Her house even like a Barbie doll house. Or I even seen that with a Chinese man as well. Where some Chinese men they make their house look like a Barbie doll. They wear the Barbie t-shirts. And that's really amazing. And I think something like that should apply on an autistic person especially. So that's what I like about the Japanese culture. Because like if you're autistic, that's definitely I'm sure that's definitely what they do with an autistic person. But not sure what would they do now in Ireland. But it really depends. Like but so far I know well you see because I'm not like other Irish autistic. So sometimes I do find it hard to live in the Irish society like that. But I just try not to mind other, just be myself. But I know for those autistic people who like Irish culture. For example, I know many autistic people love Irish cuisine. Then the right way is to bring them to the pub. And I know many Irish adults do go to the pub as well. Then bring the Irish, then bring the autistic people go to the Irish pub and have the Irish food there. And maybe I know those who like trains, but they sometimes forgot to eat. The best way to do is maybe when they're looking at trains, maybe get them to eat and look at the trains. But now that's the difficult things because you know on trains you cannot eat. If you eat, you're just going to break the rules, and then you may going to be given up by other security staff. But I'm hoping that but say if I have the power to change that, but unfortunately I don't. But I'm just saying this out. So maybe, so if I could change this out, it would be good if the, if the, if they have the autistic card, this train security let them to have a free pass that they eat on train, but make sure they have to clean all the crumbs up afterwards and not to make it too messy, especially if they have the carer with them. Because like if you are a carer, you have to do a lot of things. You need to take a lot of risk. I know that when you live in the society, some of the behavior that autistic people may do, it may look suspicious to other people that they may be criminal, but you cannot pull them back from that because the society needs to change. So so the right way is now as we know about autism acceptance. If the carer were in the public with the individual with autism, the best ways to do is show them the autistic card and try to get the free pass and even tell others that this person have autism, what 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 they might need to do. The carer should take lots of responsibility, and if their behavior looks suspicious, then all they do is just to have the autistic card, then people know that they're autistic, they're not anyone like criminals. Or if someone called police, then you just explain and then you just get away with it and let the person be who they are. Because as a carer or parent, that's your responsibility to take all these risks, positive risk taking.
Absolutely, Adrian. You made so many really good points there. There was one in particular though that I really liked, and it was you were talking about teachers, and I know that there are a lot of schools in Ireland where the teachers maybe only allow the student to engage in their special interest maybe as a reward at the end of the day if
Yeah.
the person behaves themselves
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. But you're saying that what the teacher should do is they should incorporate the special interest into the learning. So
Yeah.
encourage
Yeah.
learning through the special interest, which
Yeah.
I think is a really, really
Yeah.
good point to make.
Like, let me give you an example. In English, I I use I enjoy English a lot when I was in secondary school because like in English it's all about writing essay, your opinion, and sometimes you can use a special interest to write about them. And I know that if learning maths in secondary school that would be hard because with all the algebra, things like that, and you trying to learn algebra with train, that would be impossible. But like but like here's the thing about I find it much difficult in school. When I was learning different language like learning French, I feel there are lots of peer pressure there. Because like when I was learning French, I was forced to put down the special interest and talk about I have to pretend that you like sport even though you don't because you're learning different language, and I don't think that's really fair on me. And thinking back then, so distressing
Okay.
because like I don't like sports, and because like especially when you learn new language, one of the good thing is why can't they because like that's what nowadays that's how some autistic children learn to speak. They learn to speak through their special interest, like saying toys, and then the therapist might say this is toys, and then the child say toys, and then the therapist give them the toys. And if I have to suggest to the Department of Education, to the SDN learning, I think it's important that if they try to use special interest in secondary school in terms of learning, like learning new language, they can try to use their special interest to say what they like and say it in that language and how they spend with it, and then say I have autism. Maybe use that as an exception for the special need student. I think that's a really good one.
That's a really
Rather
good
than
point.
forcing yourself to be like other boys and girls to like sports, or you have to be like music, or say you have to have your life like other, rather than to be like that. But unfortunately, but here's the thing. Maybe in a special school, if you did that, they will accept that, but not really in a mainstream school, especially in Ireland.
Okay.
That can be make it hard. But hopefully we see what can we do if we raise awareness to the Department of Education in Ireland.
Absolutely, Adrian. One more question from me, and you know, we often come across situations where an individual that we're supporting, maybe on the autism spectrum, identifies a goal that they have and it involves their special interest, but there may be opposition from the parent or the carer because they're not very supportive of this particular
Yeah.
special interest because maybe they think it's too risky.
Yeah.
Maybe, for example, an individual wants to loves motorbikes and they
Yeah.
want to buy a motorbike and they want to ride a motorbike,
Yeah.
but the parent and maybe the support staff think that it's too risky, so they want to deter them from doing that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You should always do the positive risk taking, because as a carer and the parent, you cannot really change the child, because like that's your responsibility. If you want to be a parent or carer, you should be the one who needs to change, not the child. So take the positive risk. Say if they like motorbike, then give them a chance. And and also, if you are now riding motorbike, now here's the thing. Always always take the positive risk. Like for example, here's the thing I do come across. I know some autistic young people in the 20s who like playground. But like if you were in the Western society, especially in the Western society, people can be paranoid about children's safety, because in Western moral norm or Western culture, people have their high moral standard of protecting children, because it's different from Asia especially. They are very paranoid about children's safety, because you know that children do talk about stranger danger, where they thought that if they see any adult without any children in the playground, that can be a concern, that could be a kidnapper or a pedophile. But like it wouldn't be fair to stop an autistic person from not to do that, because that wouldn't be fair on them. So here's what my advice is. My advice is, if they have an autistic card, and maybe just have it on their badge, so other people know that they're not pedophile, they're just an autistic person who want to enjoy the playground. And especially if they know how to use the playground equipment, let other children use it, and be careful going down the slide, and make sure other children are not on your way. That is part of the positive risk taking. And because like here's the thing, generally, I know Irish Garda are quite friendly. I met them before and they seem to be friendly people. They're like a community supporter. They're not like the American cop where if they see any suspicious, they just arrest you away, put you in jail, shoot you, beat you with the stick. They're not that aggressive like the American cops. So, so I know that the Irish Garda I tend to be friendly. So say if they have any suspicious behavior and other people call the police, all the carer would do is just to show them the card, say that look, this person has autism. He is not a pedophile or a kidnapper. He just want to enjoy the playground the way children does. Then the guards understand, then they leave, then they can enjoy the playground. That's the way it should be. Because like here's the quote I learned. If your autistic child behave in a strange way, it doesn't mean they are like other they're a bad people. It means they have a disability which need to be supported and accepted. And because like when they engage their difference, it's like a wheelchair for them. Like you wouldn't say just because of the person need the wheelchair, you say, oh, he's inappropriate. If he's going on a wheelchair on the train, he's going to squish all the space. Like even though if it squish all the space, the train even have the extra space for the person on the wheelchair. And that's what people should do.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it depends on which culture you're in. Some culture accept it, some culture no. Like with the brain figure in the public in Japan, that would be accepted. Or like those who want to play in the playground, maybe I know, because I know in Japan, adult culture like children culture here. So anything so age appropriate, I don't think that's really an issue in Japan. And even though you are behaving in a suspicious behavior, because I know usually in the public, in the Asian public, no, like to exaggerate this, even though there was a serious crime in Asia, when people saw it, I know most people don't really call the police. They just try to keep out of their business. But like in Western society, people always support the community, and whenever they see any criminal behavior, they just call the police. That could be a problem. So it's also looking at the cultural perspective as well. By me, it would be good, say if the autistic people have that strange behavior, but that culture accepted. It would be good if he can live in that culture, but it really depends. lots
Okay.
of inconvenience going on, but just have to try your best to accept it. But here's the thing I always say: ignore what the society feel you. Be who you are, and just be yourself. Even though you're doing something that make the society suspicious, the society eventually is the one who needs to change, not yourself. That's my advice.
Adrian, I think we've reached the end of this episode.
Yep.
So once again, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to take part in
Yep.
this particular episode. I think you've given people a huge amount of information and knowledge, and I think
Yep.
this podcast is really helping to change
Yep.
people's attitudes towards autism, and helping society in general to accept difference,
Yep.
and not to judge. I think you've really raised awareness of the
Yep.
whole area of special interest. So
Yep.
again, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So thank you for join. So thank you, Darragh, for joining our episode, and especially a Gheel director of training. Other staff need to learn that as well, and it will be good if you can able to spread that message. So my next podcast, I'm going to be having my next speaker called Mick. What's Mick's last name again?
Tehan.
Mick Tehan. So Mick Tehan going to join my next episode, and he's going to talk about Gheel, what they do in Gheel. So this is next episode. This is going to be specifically for Irish parent, because I know many Irish parent don't know where would their autistic children go after they turn 18. So maybe if we talk about Gheel for the next episode. For thank you so much, everyone. And also, if you have any comment, or if you have any question, leave the comment down at the YouTube comment. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Adrian.